Hello, everybody. Thank you for watching and listening to us Blaire It Out.
Hi.
I've got my co-host and my bestie here, David.
Mm-hmm.
And thank you to Impact for being our space sponsor. And Impact is a local nonprofit who gives resources to our community, and they're an amazing nonprofit, so check them out. And thank you for letting us use your space.
Yes, absolutely. We always appreciate it.
Absolutely. And if you're looking to sponsor, please give us a call or contact us on blairitout@gmail.com or give us a call at 520-449-1003. So we're looking for those sponsors.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. Okay, so as you guys know that we do, multiple episodes and we film. So sometimes like what's going on today is maybe what you're going to see in like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So this has been a crazy couple weeks.
It's been busy.
It's been busy.
Yeah.
And we both are on the, clear train, I want to call it, of, removing any toxicity from our lives. Mm-hmm. We took a note from Eva and said, okay, we love what she's doing.
We're going to fast.
So I'm actually on day 19.
Yep.
So are you.
Yep. We started together on the 1st.
And what I notice when we do these journeys is we start to really unpack a lot of
emotional garbage
and issues. And it's crazy because the last time we did it for 6 months. Mm-hmm. And I got attacked a little bit on that journey. So did you. Some things started to come to light. And, I did a lot of growth from it. Mm-hmm. But what's weird is that it took only 13 days this time. And David got to witness me have a full-blown emotional meltdown.
It was beautiful. It was sad, but it was beautiful.
Have you ever seen me lose it like that?
Mm-mm. No, I didn't. I was kind of shocked because so normally like we always play around like I'm about to have a meltdown. And we just call each other and just like, gripe and grind and we're like, let's go get a drink. Yeah. And then we're over it. But no, I was like, okay, we're sober. Like, I know I'm feeling things. So she must, you must be feeling something.
Yes.
So right when you said that, I'm like, I texted him. I remember I'm just like, well, why? What's going on? What's happening? And then I'm like, oh, fuck this. And I called you right away. And like immediately when you're answering the phone, like I can already hear it in your voice. And you're like, I just don't know what to do. I was like, oh, she's really having a meltdown.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
Like,
Lost it.
Let me just sit with this. Like, let me just sit with you. Like, let it all out, girl.
Lost it. Okay.
Yeah.
This has been the hardest cleanse because I got addicted to vaping. I tried it so my son's 5. So I was obviously after him. So I'd say 3 years ago. And it was one of those little jewels. Mm-hmm. It was a strawberry mango flavor. And the moment I started, I couldn't stop. Mm-hmm. And it continued and continued to get more and more addicting to the point where I was taking it to bed with me and waking up with it. It was so bad. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I loved it. And my assistant, who was a very big vapor, got really sick and quit on me. Just not on me, but quit vaping. And I'm going, if she can quit? And she kind of looks at me and goes, okay, are you going to do it?
Are you ready?
And I'm like, no, not at all. But then I felt this pressure. Then my 5-year-old saw me do it and goes, Mommy, why you do that all the time? And then I was done. I was like, cold turkey, let's remove this toxicity.
And that's so hard. God, that's so hard.
It is. I can quit drinking. I can quit anything. Diet, you give it to me. This has been the hardest removal of a toxin in my life. Mm-hmm. It's the oral fixation. It's the constant, it's easy. It doesn't smell. You don't really feel like you're having any issues with it. But I started feeling it kind of in my chest and I just knew it wasn't a healthy habit. So then I just quit. I said August 1st was my day. And I feel good about it. It's been, 19 days. And now I'm, feeling really good about it. I'm really proud of myself because it's been really difficult. I did get addicted a little bit to nicotine gum. So if you start seeing me around just chewing this gum, I'm like, hey, okay. But now I don't need it. Like I would have to wake up in the morning and like put a piece in, or, just whenever I was having those urges to put it in. So I think that I had no outlet for the stress that I was under. And even though I was working out and making healthy choices, there's a lot of, uncertainty that's going on in my life. Robbie and I we're in a contract on a house. I put 2 of the 3 of my kids into schools of where this house was. And it's a 55-minute drive from my house. We fall out of contract. I'm in real estate. I did tons of inspections. I did my due diligence. David and I went to this house every single day.
Yeah.
We sat there in the pool and kind of wanting to feel that sunset vibe. And for some reason, I could not connect to this house.
Mm-hmm. And for those, for those of you that don't know, like where Blaire lives now, the view she has is amazing, and the sunset is even better. Like it's pure magic.
My house is amazing.
When we go to this house, like we're trying to feel like, oh, does it have that same kind of magic? Like if we're sitting out in the pool, like are we going to see that same like bright colors? No. It was beautiful in its own, but
city lights, the giant view of Push, Ridge Mountain, or is it Push Mountain, right? I think that's what I believe. I'm sorry, guys. I'm still figuring out all the mountains because we have a lot here. And but my house is magic. I love it. it's a ginormous house because we have a lot of people living with us, and it's on an acre. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I've been feeling this need to move up north because my husband works there. And now I put my kids, 2 of my 3 kids up there. And the 2 kids that I put up there have had, one's in kinder and one's going to be a freshman. So those are big transition years. My middle's a lot like me, where he's going to be fine no matter what. Yeah. And so there's just a lot of stress. My kids are really important to my mental health. I want my kids happy. I want them safe. I want to make the right choices. And I feel this pressure about making a choice for my children that could affect them for the rest of their life.
Well, and it was a big reason why you switched schools.
Yes. And we were private homeschool for several years. And then all of a sudden, my kids are very social. So they're going from this private homeschool to this huge school. And, it's really nerve-wracking. I'm sure moms, you guys, and dads, you guys know out there, like what's happening in the public schools. And there's a lot of things that are happening that I don't agree with. And so I'm very particular about where my babies are being led to. Like, what are they being taught? So and the schools where we're at now are amazing. I just know my husband's already up there. We are eventually going to be up north. But the pressure, again, I'm a realtor. I do this on a daily basis. I, for some reason, am now experiencing what you all feel. The stress, the rates, the buy downs, the emotions of moving and figuring out a HELOC versus selling. I'm understanding every single thing you all are going through. It's making me a better agent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then I had the breakdown. And I had just come back from Pine Top, a wedding, and I don't know what happened. I come home and I'm agitated. And my poor husband kind of probably said something. He knows how to push my buttons. And I lost it. And I am a fleer. I fight or flight. I could be either one. You never know. But at this moment in time, I flew. And I needed to get out of the house. I just needed to leave. I was already gone. This is no reason for it, rhyme or reason. I just had to leave. I'm an escape artist. I always have to leave. You have to give me my space.
Yeah.
And so I do. And then I come back and I'm realizing how ridiculous I am. But it carries over to the next day. And my stomach and my chest felt like it was restricted. and I could not breathe. And I had dropped my kids off and I was in full blown hysterics, like crying to the point where I could not breathe.
Anxiety attack.
It was a full blown panic attack, full blown. And I didn't know because I'm praying and I'm praying and I'm trying to be like, God, am I forcing something that's not supposed to happen? Just all of these decisions, right? And David has told me millions of times over and over again, I'm supposed to rest, that it's time to rest. That goes against every single bit of what my DNA is made of. It is. I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
And so there's all these changes and decisions because I love a million houses. You tell me what areas or what I see, I'm like, I want to buy all of these. So there's just a lot of decisions to be made. And I have realized that I don't do well making decisions when it comes to myself. I can make them all for you. But man, do I have a hard time of making a life-altering decision when it comes to me and my family. Me, I'll leave, I'll fly anywhere. But now I've got 3 human beings that I have to represent and protect and make sure that my decision and my husband's decision, which my husband's always like, hey, I just go along with you.
Yeah.
You tell me what to do. And I hate that. I want I want this to be a mutual choice that we discuss and talk.
And both want.
Right. I love my husband, but sometimes I'm like, put your foot down. Tell me no. Tell me yes. Tell me what you want. He's like, I'm scared of you. I'll do whatever you tell me. And I don't like that freedom of the choice because then I am the responsible holder of what happens after.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure.
It's so much pressure.
That's why you broke down.
I broke down. And I do well under pressure. But
pressure for everyone else.
For everyone else.
Yeah.
So yeah, I lost it.
Yeah, lost it.
Lost it.
It was good though. It was nice I've always seen your human side, but I've never seen like you actually let go. Like I feel like you're always trying to stay composed, if not for yourself, for someone else. So it was actually kind of a nice like swap for me to be the composed one and actually just like have you break down. I was like, oh my God, like she is more human than I thought. Like she doesn't have it all together.
I do not. I am. And that's what kind of made me think about today and what I want to talk about, because I was listening to Tim Ross, who I think is an amazing podcaster. And he has a podcast called The Basement. And he said something today, or on one of the episodes that I listened to, and he said, vulnerability is my superpower. And I thought, that's so beautiful. And to have it not all together all the time and to let people in, I think can do more healing than trying to pretend that you have it all together all the time. Yeah. And that was important for me to talk about today because I do not have it all together all the time.
It's hard though. It's hard to be vulnerable. And I mean, I remember when we first started Happy Mommy Hour and we're writing blogs, constantly hearing from you, like, open up, like, just write, just let it know. It sounds too scripted. Like, just, you got to be yourself. And I'm like, I don't know how, like, that's so frustrating. But, I've actually, like I said, since we've like come closer, like have since learned how to like open up and let go. And not only is the like, what's the word? It's not even just like nice to get it out. It's enlightening. It's freeing.
Yeah.
Because then
it's healing.
It is. You
and
feel
I
like
think,
that weight is taken off your shoulders.
Absolutely. And because the reality of this podcast is about mental health. And how can we sit here and talk about, other people's vulnerabilities and be a safe place for other people, yet not give everybody what our vulnerability. Yes. And it's hard because, right, we're in this world, that we want to be perfect and everyone is judging and they will have opinions or comments because that is the world we live in. It's the society we live in. Everyone has an opinion. Women get judged harsher by women than anything else. And, you know, it's very bizarre how you see people who have climbed the ladder of fame and how quickly we love to bring them down. We love a comeback story, but don't come back in a certain, way.
Yeah.
We want you to come back
too strong.
Don't come back too strong. And you better still be vulnerable. And if we don't like it, how vulnerable you are. I'm sorry. What?
I'm sorry. I'm having like, what's the Parks and Rec?
What? This is how I can't have breakdowns. I will talk to him about my vulnerability, and then he laughs at me.
No, I'm so sorry. I'm hearing about like a comeback story, and I remember this like
What?
Chris Pratt like is in Parks and Rec, and they're talking about a comeback story, and this is so inappropriate. So just
This is why we are where we are.
you know, in the show, they're like, oh yeah, everybody loves a great comeback story. And they're naming like all these people who had, you know, come back from the rafters. And Chris Pratt goes, oh yeah, Kim Kardashian. And they're like, not quite a comeback story, but, and his response is, no, I'm pretty sure she had cum on her back. Like,
Oh my.
that's what that was. I think that's
We
what
just went to R-rated. Thanks, David.
I know, I'm so sorry.
Here we go.
But the moment you're talking about comeback, that
Thanks,
popped in
Chris
my
Pratt.
head.
And Chris Pratt of all people. So whoever wrote that and that she did. She did. And she got really famous for it. So there you go. There you go. A different side of vulnerability,
Wow, okay.
everybody.
I am mature. I promise.
I think we just went to like
I'm
Kinder ones.
sweating. I can't stop.
Well, now you made me start sweating.
Oh,
So thank you.
that was funny.
Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Thank you, Chris Pratt. And we were just, and Parks and Rec. I can't believe they aired that.
I don't think they did. I think it was like a blooper.
A blooper. Typical. Well, we were just talking about the office space and Parks and Rec. And I have a problem because I realized this year that I don't understand sarcasm. I don't get it. I don't. It's one of my like weird things that I just pretend. And I'm like, yeah, it's funny, but I don't understand it. I take everything very literal. And you are losing it, my friend.
I'm trying to keep it together.
David was really sick this week, and I think he's still fevering.
Yeah, I think so. Like,
Oh my gosh. Well, okay. So we're talking about, back to like moving and doing all of the different changes. Are you feeling like any pressure that you're going on right now of like where you want to see yourself?
oh my God, yeah. Like since the whole sobriety thing, like all the emotions are coming in, all the pressure, like having to deal with my son and my family and getting my license for
Being an LO?
Yeah. And so I have just like hyper focused onto my studies, which I guess has kind of helped with my own mess going on in the head. I'm like, if I just stay focused on this, if I just stay studying, like,
Welcome to my
kind
life.
of like, it'll kind of just like push it out. And it has, and it's been great. But then I put more pressure on myself on the times that I don't study.
Yeah.
Cause then I'm like, well, I need a break. Like I have a brain fry. Like I just need to rest. And because I've rested for so long, that 5 minutes of rest that I have, like, kills me. Then the anxiety starts coming in strong because I'm like, no, I can't. Like I've already like messed around for so long. Like I need to get down. I need to buckle down to business. Like get this done.
Yeah.
Especially because my program ends at the end of the month.
Oh gosh,
Like,
the pressure of the
I
TikTok.
know, and I'm not even halfway through.
There you go.
Yeah,
Do you think that-
procrastination at its best.
Is the lending, do you feel like to get your license as an LO is harder than it is to become a realtor?
That's what people say. And as I'm going through the course, I'm like, it's very similar.
Yeah.
There's a few differences, and I think with those differences, it kind of throws me off. But it's just a matter of like learning new information.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is kind of like a refresh course for me. But the stuff that I didn't learn in real estate school is where I'm struggling because I'm like, God, I don't know this. And then it's more percentage points and numbers, and I'm like, oh my God, there's already so much. Like
so many numbers.
In real estate, there was so many time frames, so many numbers, and here there's a whole different set.
Yeah.
And so like,
It's kind of like
a lot of confusion.
refocusing as being the person who represents the buyer and seller. And
I constantly have to tell myself like, okay, we need to take the realtor hat off. Like, that it doesn't matter what happened in that school, like does not
correlate
here.
to the other one.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, we let it go, focus here. Like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is what you're learning. This is what you're trying to become. This is all that matters right now.
Well, it's hard.
Really hard because you have that information that just doesn't go away.
Well, both, I feel like a lot of people are leaving the business right now just because of how hard it is. You know, we're in that weird uncertainty of time.
Get in.
Exactly. That's why I believe in this business. You're in it for the long haul or you were never supposed to be in it. And I mean, I've stayed busy, so that's been really nice.
Yeah, you've been very successful since the beginning.
And well, thank you. But what I've noticed is the pressure that I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of unethical behaviors start to happen. And just kind of bizarre things, you know, people really trying to take other people's clients, doing unethical things. And, you know, we have a huge thing of code of ethics, and it's really important to everybody at the Tucson Associations of Realtors. It should be in every, you know, industry.
Yeah.
But I know it's really important. I mean, you could lose your license for a lot of these things that I'm seeing. And I think what I want to say is that your mental health in this business needs to be protected. I think a lot of people see the glitz and the glam, especially the past 3 years, right? People were rolling in. You could have just like got your license, sat down, and then buyers were coming to you left and right. You could have done nothing, joined, and then just threw your name in the hat and somebody was going to use you. But now you don't have as many buyers.
You have to work for it.
You do. And you should be good at your job. It's not just showing a house. You have to protect them and do your due diligence and make sure you have inspections and you know that contract and you protect your client in that contract. We're dealing with lots of money here. And these clients are not your paycheck.
No.
These clients are your clients that you need to protect through and through.
Right.
And you do your job right, you will be blessed to be rewarded in that in the end. And I think what's happening is you have so many people who are like money, 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 money on both the LO side and the realtor side.
Oh, it's the industry itself is just tough.
It's tough.
It's very narcissistic, egotistical. Like it's a very ego driven.
It can happen.
Like, yeah, it's rough.
It's
and
rough.
That's why the mental health, like you have to be a strong person. You have to be strong with boundaries. You have to be strong with your nose, and you have to be able to kind of project what's about to happen.
Yeah.
And it's
like almost a fortune teller in a way.
Yeah.
Because how many times do you get asked what's happening in the market? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? If I knew what was going to happen constantly, I mean, Matt Kaiser and I laugh around. We're like, oh, we'll just, go win the lotto because we'd already know the numbers. And I think it's just really important for agents or people in this business to take the time in the rest and work on your mental health. And when I say mental health, I'm telling you what a lot of people in this outside of this industry don't understand is you work your tail off, especially when you're a busy agent or even when you're struggling, because what you do is you start to compare yourself with everybody else. I've told so many agents to not block, but hide other agents' posts and I said, if I bother you with my success or what I'm posting, hide me, because you cannot go in this industry comparing yourself with everybody else's wins.
No.
Your win will come. So keep going, manifest, pray, focus on the positive. But if you start to go out there, and I think that helped with a little bit of my mental health breakdown too, just because even though I had 4 closing, I'm like, my phone hasn't rang in 2 weeks. I get a lot of pressure on when I have a listing. Buyers, if you come to me as a buyer, I'm going to get you in contract. I'm going to be one of the most aggressive agents for you. Not a problem. But as a person who represents for a listing, the power and the pressure of getting you what you want and that contract, I take that to heart. So I do everything and I can. And so when the market had shifted and the rates kind of jumped, all of a sudden you saw this hold. It's a weird pattern, this middle, purchase. You can see it all over. It's like from anything under 4 is going, anything above 9 is going. And then there's this like little sitting area. And you have more buyers getting pre-quals now than in a long time. So obviously buyers are there, but we're not finding exactly the inventory, what they want.
It fits them, yeah.
Or they're seeing what their new payment's going to be. And with this interest rate, it's not what they like. And I try to tell them, hey, we can buy down, we can do all these things. But again, unless you have an agent who's representing you, you would not know that. And then if you are tying in the pressures of helping buyers and sellers and the pressures of competing with other agents, it will knock you on your ass. And you have to take these breaks. And you have to work on your mental health, whether it's working out, whether it's therapy. I suggest both. Church, prayer, whatever it is to give you that space for your brain to just take a breath. And for you guys out there, your agent, as long as they're working their tail off, trust me, sometimes your house is not moving because it's just the market. And as long as your agent's doing open houses and marketing it all over social media and they have buyers that they're sending it to, they're doing their job. And just be a little bit kinder to them, because I've seen some agents. I mean, we've had 3 agents this year end their lives. Yeah.
Oh, I missed that.
We have 3 this year that have died from cancer. It's a lot of stress on our bodies. And it's not just this glitz and glam job. It's a lot of pressure. And that's kind of what started this kickoff on this is, what's your outlet? How do you make it fun and not just so stressful? What are you doing to give back? What do you do to help yourself and your family and what's important to you? It can't just all be about the money. It's got to be about your heart and your soul, because it's hard. And I say for the agents out there and for the LOs that are under the pressure, like somebody told me a long time, they said, sit in the rest because it's coming. And I tell you, every time I'm like, nobody's calling me. I
keep saying that, by the way.
I know. Over and over again. And I'm like, nobody's calling me. I am just, nobody loves me, because I've put my confidence in my career. And I'm going, why is my love and the way I feel about myself by how much business I'm getting? That's not healthy. And guess what? 2 days ago, 15 phone calls, 3 buyers, 2 listing appointments. And then I'm going, oh gosh, what did I ask for? So then you have all this other pressure, and then it's go, 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 go. And I'm going, why didn't I just enjoy the rest? Why? Because we're constantly in that need of go, 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 go. And it can be so exhausting.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
What do you like to do when you're like needing that mental break?
I isolate.
I know you do.
That's my go-to thing. I'm like, everybody don't contact me. Don't even look for me. I'm disappearing. Like, I will not be available to anyone. And I do. And I just focus on me. And in that time in my isolation, I mean, I do whatever it is I want. If I want to sleep in, I'm going to sleep in as late as my body will allow me to. If I want to do absolutely nothing and just watch a movie or just sit in silence, I'm going to do it. Lately, I have been going for walks. I'm like, I got to get more active. So a lot of the times after work, there's a park near my house. And I go for a walk around the loop till I'm like too hot. And I'm like, okay, time to go. And then I go home, rest and relax. Do what I got. I'll either read a book. I'm starting to get back into writing, so start writing again.
You're such a beautiful writer.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, every time I try to post something, I'm like, David, fix this. Help me. He's a beautiful writer. Oh. I mean, you're amazing.
Thanks. So,
and I'd love to go on walks, but for some reason, I'm delicious, and I get bit a million times.
Usually I do too, and I'm surprised this year I have been. Where is it?
But, I don't know.
Yeah, I have not been attacked by mosquitoes this year, and it's been so nice.
I found one in my bra. No, I found it. I mean, I've been bit so many times. One bit like right underneath my butt cheek, and I just look like I'm scratching my butt everywhere I go. And then you're not supposed to scratch. And my poor baby had like 4 on his face, and it's just like they're rampant. Yeah. And I feel like they're on steroids, and they do like this war cry, and they're like, "Where is she?" Like, and then they like just are like, and then just like come at me. I can't. The moment I walk outside, everyone's like lavender oil. I'm like, lavender. I smell like a baby, like that's been like in a brothel.
Yeah.
That's what I smell like. Lavender. I smell like baby lotion. I smell like citronella. Like it's all over.
I don't like using them. I don't think that they say it works, but I just, has not been my luck.
No, I get bit all the time. It's awful. Yeah,
I'll still get bit with peppermint oil, lavender. It hasn't.
You've scarred me from peppermint oil. For life.
God, that was rough. Yeah, the trauma.
David, you heard it, our previous podcast, David had us put on our mask oil and peppermint, and when the masks were a thing, and it scarred me for life.
It was awful.
I get a whiff of it, and my eyes start crying.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah. Well, when I go through these crazy mental breaks, is what I like to say, I really dive into my Bible, and I listen to the prayer app, and I really try to focus on, because what I deal with when I'm struggling is my fear of faith. And I start to question everything. And it's not fair. It's not fair to God to put that, pressure on him. But then I also think at least I'm going to him and having the conversation, because the enemy is attacking me so hard. And I start to believe the lies that are being told to me. And I keep getting told, you're not good enough. You're not loved. You don't deserve this. You're a fraud. You're a fake. And I just keep hearing these horrible voices that just attack. And I don't do well. I internalize them until I can't internalize them anymore. And even my own husband was saying, I've never seen you like this.
Yeah, it was, I think, like I said, though, it needed to happen. Like, I feel like,
It needed to. I didn't want it to, but it needed to, because
you definitely fought it. Even while you were going through it.
Like, I was like, I do the like, why do I feel this way? I'm crazy. I'm losing my mind. Like, I was like, I thought I was crazy. I felt nuts. And so I just started diving in, and I, of course, needed that outlet, which was my safe place. Who can I be vulnerable to? And honestly, I think I talked to, Michelle, who we had interviewed. She called me randomly, and I answer, and I'm having a full-blown breakdown to her. She's like, get it, girl. You deserve to have a breakdown. Yeah. I go, what do you mean deserve to have them? I'm like, rude. She's like, no, you need to. With a break comes growth. And I'm going, okay, David's telling me I need rest and that this is a good thing. Robbie's telling me, well, it's bound to happen. You can't be this crazy subhuman person forever. Yeah. And Michelle's telling me,
good job.
A break means growth. You have to be broken to grow. And so I'm just diving into my Bible, and I'm really trying to give this like time. And then I start getting distracted. And then I start to feel the angst and the anxiety. And I'm like, okay, this is a time for rest. I need to focus. I need to focus on how I'm growing. I'm having this relationship with God. I'm trying to talk to him and saying, what is it that you want from me? And I think what people don't realize is the pressure is not the paycheck. The pressure for me is when I do a buy or sell. And what I do is that these podcasts are to help bring nonprofits on and people's voices, but it still costs money. Every time I, buy and sell, yes, I give back to that nonprofit, but that's a pressure that I'm now dedicated to. I get phone call messages, private message after private message of people who can't afford groceries. They can't. That one woman fosters 10 kids and is not able to, the resources that she is given cannot provide enough food on her table. So I take on that pressure. This isn't about, do I want a new bag? Do I want a new car? Do I want to go on vacation? This is about how can I get the resources and help, and I cannot do that without financials.
Right.
So I take that pressure on.
It's your own financials.
It's 90% mine. So it's really a lot of pressure. And so then I seek God. I'm going, God, you've put this on my heart to help others. I know that you've always come through. Why am I lacking faith? And he's like, it's the enemy. He's like, you think that you get to do what you do for me and you aren't going to piss some enemies off? He's like, the whole point is to bring you down, to believe the lie and stop doing what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Keep having faith, know and trust me, and just keep going. I've made you exactly who you are for this reason. And yet my own insecurities and my own lies that I've believed my whole entire childhood like to come out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, man, you got to fight it.
And that's what I kept saying. Remember, I was like, who are you doing this for? Like, what is it that what is it that's driving you? Like, who are you trying to prove yourself to? And it should be just yourself. And I'm, and I constantly tell you, like, there's no need to worry. I've literally watched you do and manifest every single thing you say you're going to do and want to do. And it's like, you just have to relax. Enjoy. You've worked so hard, and it's like, enjoy the fruits of your labor. You have earned that right to be able to just sit back and be like, you know what? I did this. Like, I made this happen. This is beautiful life. Kick back with a drink and an umbrella. That's my little symbol for pure relaxation. Put a little umbrella in and be like, yep, I'm good.
I wonder why I have such an issue. And I think so many people do, right? This can't be just a me thing. I think we all strive for perfection and then past the point of perfection, right?
Right. But I think it has something to do with our childhoods too, because both of us are the black sheep of our families.
Oh, yes.
Which for us means we were kind of always like, So we had to work harder for that attention. We had to work harder for that love. We had to show we are the perfect child.
Yeah.
So we constantly had our shit together, quote unquote, even though it really wasn't, just to make it look like, hey, I deserve this love too. Like, I deserve this praise too. And so that's why when I ask, like, who are you really doing this for? Like, who are you trying to impress? And a lot of the times it's our parents.
Yeah.
And we don't realize it because we think we're adults and we're like, no, it's not true. But
I think I was just so independent so early. So it wasn't about needing that constant strive of perfection for them. It was that, and my middle one's a lot like me, where I lived at people's houses. I did not really need constant love and affection from my family. It was really that I was so independent, and everything I did, I needed to be the best at. Again, probably from childhood, just because I'm like, look at me, middle child syndrome, look at me, and, love me. But again, I can't handle compliments. I don't know how to receive them. You should see, you've seen me when people are like, you look so pretty. Oh my gosh, you're so this. I'm like, thank you. Like the troll comes out. I don't know how to do it because I'm just don't see myself like that. So even when you're complimenting me and saying, oh, you've got this going, or I think of you as like this person who has it all together. I don't see myself like that. And it's humility and humble is being good, but I also need to stop just hating myself sometimes. It's why. And again, yes, childhood trauma, but I really want to heal from it. I want to move forward and love myself so I can really, truly appreciate the gifts that God has given me.
And you do that by appreciating the gifts.
Exactly. And I have not mastered that skill at all.
We're getting there. Since we have gotten close, you have learned to relax a hell of a lot more.
I've learned to say no a lot more too.
That too.
I've had these boundaries. I think that when you start to like change and find yourself in that confidence, you almost become cold. Like you kind of go, you too protected.
That's what people tell me. But
yeah. People tell me. No.
I don't think so, but
you do. You get these walls up, right? Yeah. It's almost like you're protecting yourself because vulnerability is scary. Vulnerability means what it means. You are open to judgment. But what's scary about it is when you sit in that place and you don't grow from it. So then you do become cold.
Yeah.
And then you have walls up, and then you're alone with yourself and your thoughts. And you're like, dang it, I wanted to protect myself so much. I built a wall around myself, and now I'm alone.
And became my own enemy.
And became your own enemy.
Yeah.
And so what I'm trying to do is grow, be vulnerable, let people in, but still protect myself where they don't hurt me. And I don't know if anybody will ever find that perfect place because, you know, it is what it is. You're always susceptible to pain when you're open. Mm-hmm. But to take maybe those as lessons instead of such a visceral attack, like you just make yourself feel so vulnerable. You feel these things so deeply. And sometimes you don't need to feel them so deeply. Sometimes you can take it, learn from it, and release it. Release it. And sometimes somebody who's telling you something has a whole different agenda, and you don't need to take it on at all.
Yeah.
And that is such a lesson to be learned, because not everybody who is speaking at you or speaking to you has your best interest. It could be a selfish reason as well. So you have to decipher.
I feel like if you're paying attention, you know.
You do.
You know.
Mm-hmm. I think you know, but you also have to learn. Sometimes people are really good at it. You've got people who are very charming and can manipulate you from their charm into doing what they desire instead of what's best for you.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like that's, again, where if you're self-aware mm-hmm. and you have a strong sense of self-love, you know how to read those flags, those red flags. Because if it doesn't feel good inside, then it's not good for you.
I agree.
If it's something where you're like, oh yeah, like, okay, that sounds fun, and it truly feels fun and freeing, then yeah, like go for it. But there's always something in there, and we ignore it, and we love to just blame. Yeah. But the truth is you caused your own hurt mm-hmm. by ignoring all those signs. So if you like, that's why when people tell me things, I'm like, yeah, that's great. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna watch you.
Yeah.
They will always let you know who they are if you just watch them. Don't listen to what they're saying. Take it in. You're like, yeah, okay, yeah. Just appease them. You're like, sure, mm-hmm. Wonderful, great job. But then watch what they do.
And how they treat others.
They will never, if they are who they are, their words and their actions will always match up.
Well, that's kind of what happened with you and I, right? Like you mm-hmm. had heard things about me, and you're like, I'm gonna see who this person really is. Mm-hmm. And thankfully, I am who I am. Yeah. And I proved actually the other person wrong.
Oh, totally wrong.
So it's funny because everyone wants to fight for their truth, right?
Yeah. But nobody wants to live it.
So then you want to speak to the world, right? Somebody tells you about something, you hear a rumor about yourself, and you're like, I'm going to post this on Facebook today, and I'm going to prove them wrong. But the reality is you sit back, you be exactly who you are in your truth, and the truth will come out. It may take a little longer than you like. Mm-hmm. But it does come out. Yeah.
And that's why I always used to say, like, when we were going through what we did with all those girls and other people, it was like, stop defending yourself. Mm-hmm. Just stop.
Yeah.
Let them talk. Mm-hmm. Let them talk. Because those that know you aren't going to hear it.
Yeah.
Or they may hear it and defend you and then be like, hey, look, like, I love you. I got you. Mm-hmm. Those that don't know you or have ulterior motives, you're going to watch them run off.
Yeah.
And then you're going to know, like, they weren't really my friend anyways. So it's like, stop defending yourself. Let people talk. It doesn't matter. As long as you know yourself, who gives a shit?
And your defense sometimes can come into it from a negative place, right? Because you're wanting to protect yourself. I remember being like, hearing some things and I was really angry about them, and I definitely retaliated. I was like, oh yeah, you're going to say this about me? Well, and now I'm going to say this about you. And I quickly was like, that's not my character.
And it just makes you look
and I
ugly.
hate it. Remember, I'd shake and I hated it, and I would have anxiety because it wasn't who I was. So I quickly stopped, said, I'm sorry. That's mm-hmm. not who I am. That's not even who I would say this person is. But this person is no longer who I'm going to talk about mm-hmm. because let you decide who they are. I don't need to prove who they are to me, to you.
Right.
At all. You can decide that yourself. Mm-hmm. And then when it's true, then you come back to me. I'm not even going to repeat the conversation because I don't want to continue to have that negativity in my life. When I'm healed and done, I'm done. Now it takes me a lot longer. There's a little theme of me. I will say I'm over it. I am done. I've forgiven them all. And it takes me about 2 years. It takes me about 2 years to really forgive and move on. But I lie to myself. I'm like, you are done. You are forgiven. You have moved on. And I will even say wonderful things about those people out loud
to try to
trick myself into believing it. Now, I don't want that friendship anymore. I don't want those people in my life anymore. But when you say you forgive somebody and you truly do, the healing is wonderful. I mean, for years after my husband's affair, right? I was like, I've moved on. It's done now. I hope she's doing well. Like, I hope she has the most amazing time with her family. I'm like, no, deep behind it, I was like, I hope she gets everything she deserves behind the scenes. But it took about 5 years.
That was a big one.
It was a big one.
She was your best friend, so.
It was a lot, but I also hated the way I felt. I hated that I could cross a place that they had an experience together and it killed me. I hated that I could somebody would see her picture or post or whatever, and I hated the way it made me feel. I was not healed. I can finally say, 7 years later, that none of it bothers me. I don't even look through my husband's phone. I truly have moved on and forgiven. And it takes time. And I know people will always ask me when they're dealing with a struggle in their relationship, and they're like, do you believe in fighting for all marriage? Is that what you do? And I said, no, absolutely not.
The difference is your husband really put in the work.
He put in all the work, but I also was able to be that person who forgives. If you don't forgive, you can't hold it over their head for life. You have to move on because you're just going to be in a circle of torment. And then who's really in the trenches?
Yep.
Is it them? Nope, it's you.
They've moved on.
They're trying to be like, hey, stop bringing my shame up over and over and over again. And you have to move on. It took me years. And it's freeing when you can finally forgive.
Yeah.
It's amazing. I think now I'm at this place where I'm like, okay, cool. I've learned this lesson. And when people reach out, I actually am in the place now where I'm secure enough to say, leave. You can either fight, and you both better be fighting. If not, it's 100% okay to leave. It's your decision at the end of the day. Do I believe in, the Bible and God can help redemption, but the person's got to choose it.
Yep.
And if your partner's not, then what are you fighting for? This life is short, very, very short. And if you are constantly in the trenches of saying, oh my gosh, and in fear and anxiety and riddled with it constantly, maybe that's not the place that you're supposed to be in.
Absolutely.
Go get healed. If you don't do it without therapy, I don't know how you're doing it. I don't know how people do it without God. I don't know how you forgive without that cleanse, because it cannot be just your spouse. It could be your friends. It could be your mother, your father. It could be your family. Boundaries are okay, but isolation to the point of having nobody else is not healthy.
Guilty.
I know. I have to bring you out of isolation so many times.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, it's my go-to.
I know.
And it works until it doesn't. Because I get too comfortable there. That's a fact. I'm just...
And I got to reel you in with bring you back out on the fishing reel.
Yeah.
But now you and I are so soul-tied that we can feel each other out and know exactly
what we need.
And what's nice is even with issues, right? Like recently you told me something, you're like, hey, I didn't like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, immediately.
There's no excuses.
No. And I love that because actually I haven't experienced that before in any of my relationships.
Really?
Really. And it actually put me in a little bit of a funk because then I started questioning every relationship I have at this point. And it's awful because then it just put me back in this whole cycle. And I'm like, I have a lot of shitty people in my life.
It's okay to say sorry, guys.
It is. And it's like, wow. I'm like, this is the first person who didn't give me an excuse.
No, I was wrong.
And And it was nice to know, like, wow, okay, this person does love and respect me.
Absolutely.
Like that was different. I didn't know how to handle it. I'll tell you, I didn't know how to. I was like,
well, you were so stern with me. I was like, I'm in trouble. And then you told me how you felt, which is your feelings. And I was, I'm so sorry. I'll never do that again.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. All I said was, I'm sorry. And then it was over. And then the conversation was over.
Because I was like, wow, okay. Like this is what this feels like. This is what respect feels like. This is what.
Oh, that makes me sad.
It's sad, but it's also enlightening. It's liberating.
Yeah.
Because now I can actually look at all the relationships I have in my life and make a real decision as to who deserves to stay.
Yeah.
And who doesn't.
True.
Because I am on this journey of self-love and I am not accepting less than what I deserve. Period.
I love that. Period.
So, yeah.
I love that. I think
that moment was actually very healing in a way for me.
Really? Mm-hmm. It's so easy to apologize to you when I know I'm wrong. And there's also to other people, when I know I'm 100% wrong and you're very clear with what that issue was, I don't think, you guys, it's so funny. We're so scared to apologize. And now there's two things. If you would have then constantly have brought up after I said I'm sorry over and over and over again, then I think that would be hard for me, right? Because I'm like, what else do you want? You want blood? Like, what do you want from me?
At that point, it's different. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I get where people hold your apology as a hostage. You can't do that. But when somebody comes to you and you are wrong and you feel that inside, you're like, oh my gosh, there's no excuse for that. I was wrong. It's immediate forgiveness because you're honest.
Yeah.
And I think we're so scared to say I'm sorry because we're worried about vulnerability. But vulnerability is your superpower. Who doesn't love a vulnerable person? Who doesn't want to protect them? Bad people. People who are very insecure,
mean,
dark, anxiety ridden. Anything from fear, anxiety, or anything negativity is from the enemy. It will come at you in a way that will try to destroy you. But what is pure love, kindness, that feeling that feels good, even when you're in the trenches or saying apologies? I've all of a sudden got this huge anxiety, and then as soon as we apologize, I was like, I didn't even realize. Like, then I was like, oh my gosh. But if I would have sat in that and dwelling of like what I did or, said to hurt you and not have just moved on from it, then I would have probably caused more problems. It's like, forgive, apologize, move on. Or apologize, forgive, move on.
Yeah.
And it's so easy.
It was how I would imagine it should be.
Like a normal conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know.
Just like, hey, yeah, okay, I get that. Like I overstepped some boundaries. Like, I apologize. And after you apologize, you're like, look, like, this is what I was kind of thinking at the point.
Yeah.
And it didn't come from a place of justification.
No.
You know what I mean?
I was wrong.
You were just like, hey, I thought it was a funny story, and I thought it was going to be okay to share, but no, I totally hear you.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. And I was like, God, I love this woman.
And that's when you wrote me like 2 days later. You're like, I love you so much. I was like, oh,
I did.
I love you.
Because I appreciated that. I really, truly appreciated that because I don't have enough of that in my life.
And I appreciate that you
the world.
accepted my apology, because I can't tell you growing up how many times I said I'm sorry and it was not accepted. It was used as a tool of punishment.
And see, my feelings were always used as a tool of punishment. So it's hard for me to express what I feel without having to pre-work up a battle, which is why when you just came out and said sorry, I was like, I had a whole fight plan. Like, what do I do with this? Like, I thought we were going to have to break down. I was like,
It's like,
wow. Yeah. I was like, okay, well.
no, immediately. I was like, I'm so sorry. I knew where you're coming from and I heard you. And honestly, it was an innocent mistake. But again,
It was very innocent.
it was something that hurt you. And if I love you and care about you, your feelings and your thoughts and everything about that matters. And it's okay to apologize. And then what I loved is that you were done.
Yeah.
Done with it.
There's no need
and we
to hold
moved
on to
on.
it.
And I think that's what's hard is sometimes we're so fearful of the I'm sorry, because what the other person's going to do with it.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's why it works out with us, is because we have a mutual trust,
Mm-hmm.
mutual respect. And it's something that I have spoken about in counseling, how like, I go, I don't trust when people tell me about myself.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, do you honor anybody's opinion? And I was like, Blaire's. I go, Blaire's probably one of the first people that can literally sit there and tell me about myself. And I know she's not coming from a place of malice.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the word?
Malice?
Malice?
Yeah.
She's literally just trying to say, hey, friend,
Mm-hmm.
I get why you're behaving such a way, but it's kind of making you look bad, or it's not good for you. It's not who you are. And I'm like, oh shit. Like, okay. Cause you're not trying to attack me. You're literally just trying to keep me like, hey,
Well, you do the same for me.
Stay your best.
Yeah.
Stay your best. And I respect that. And I love that.
Thank
so
you.
she was, my counselor was like, oh, okay. Cause she thinks I'm just a heathen sometimes. She's like, oh, you have no respect for authority in this. I'm like, no, that's not it.
Yeah.
I have no respect for incompetence.
Yeah.
Or, vindictive behaviors and stuff like that. I go, but I definitely have a lot of respect for truth tellers and
vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in and listening. And I hope you have a place that feels safe to say,
Yes.
I'm sorry. And that you also have a place to feel safe in your own vulnerability, because
And you're worth it.
Yeah, you are worth it. And remember that these hard moments are just a moment, and to take time to embrace that vulnerability you have. And if you have a story to tell, this is the place that you can come on and tell it. And we will be as a safe place as possible for you.
Absolutely.
So thank you again for listening. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for letting us Blaire it out.
Bye.